Hey guys, welcome to part 3 of my holiday Barbie series in which I make my 1994 holiday Barbie gown. And I kind of thought that part 2 and part 3 would be part 2 combined, and then it got really long, so I split them up. So some of the footage kind of goes back and forth a little bit, but I think I've edited it as well as I possibly can. But that said, this is number 3. If you haven't seen parts 1 and 2, I highly recommend that you guys check those out and then come back. I will link them down below for your convenience, and I'll put some cards up here as well too. Now we are at part 3. We're going to go over the construction of the bodice. So this is part 3. Part 4 is going to be going over the finishing touches and the jewelry and the wig and the makeup and all of that I do. I think I might just do a Barbie get ready with me again to get in the makeup, or not film the makeup. We'll see. I don't even know what I'm gonna do with her makeup yet. Barbie, what does your makeup look like? She doesn't really have very much. I mean, she has the red lip, but she doesn't really seem, she has maybe like a neutralish eyeshadow, so her makeup probably won't actually be that bad. Without further ado, roll bodice footage. Okay, so here are all my scraps from cutting out those big skirt panels, and then here is all of my pattern pieces that I need. So I'm going to go ahead and start with these and see if we can't just get all of this out of these scrap pieces before I cut into the big fabric. So I'm back with my pattern here. It says bodice lining, pin lining to wrong side of fabric front, bodice side front, bodice back, and bodice side back, matching centers and small dots having raw edge even. Machine based from raw edges. Note, the bodice lining will not be shown in the remaining illustrations. And then it just never mentions the lining ever again. I think what they're wanting me to do is basically sew the lining to, I don't know. I don't understand. They definitely want me to put the lining to the wrong side of the bodice. So I'm thinking that they basically want me to sew the lining to the bodice and treat it as one piece of fabric for the remainder of the project. That's what makes the most sense to me. And so I guess I'm gonna do that. Here is a box of fabrics past that I have used. I don't really want to use gold because I don't want to confuse myself. Or maybe I should use pink. What do you think? Should I use pink? I know that doesn't really go, but I think it would be cute to line my Barbie in pink. So yeah, I think I'm just gonna line it in pink, which I know is a bit silly, but it is a Barbie dress, and so I think it works. You are together. It's a holiday every night, and we're together. I think this is the same lining that I used for my Rapunzel. So, it's a little fun fact for you. So I've pinned all of the gold fabric to my pink lining fabric, and now these are wrong sides together because basically, as well as I understand the pattern, we're just going to stitch them together and then treat them as one piece of fabric. So I have all of these all pinned around, and I'm just going to sew around, and then after I do that I'm going to serge the edges just to bind all of these raw edges, because there doesn't really seem to be a good way that the pattern doesn't really seem to indicate a good way to wrap up those edges, so that's what I'm going to do. And so yeah, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of these to do, and then I'll sew them together, and so maybe next time I'm back they will be on a dress form looking like a bodice. Okay, so I am back. I have sewn all of these together. You can see I'm not super loving it because I feel like it's bubbling, but maybe once I sew it all together it'll be okay. I don't know, we'll see. I'm kind of wishing I had just done the lining and the bodice totally separate and then sewn them together. But anyways, we're following the pattern, we're trying new things, we're seeing how it works. I am deviating a couple things because one, so here's the bodice back. I didn't sew up the bodice back because this pattern calls for a zipper in the back. I'm not going to do a zipper. I'm going to put grommets in and make it a lace-up bodice like I do with all of my dresses. And then I also noticed that once I serge all these edges to finish them, I'm going to lose all of my notches that I need to sew them all together. So I guess I'm going to sew them together and then serge all of the edges. Yes, that's probably what you're supposed to do. I don't really know. I'm still very new with the serger, so... Anyways, so those are my little updates from the things that I just shared with you. So I'm going to get these sewn up, and then I'm going to put it on the dress form and we can get a look at what it's going to look like. And then it's getting late at night and The Mandalorian came out today, so I'm probably going to go watch that soon. I'm going to sew these up really quick, and then I think I'm going to call it a night and I'll do all my serging tomorrow. Please excuse the mess around, but I'm trying it on. I do have it on over this corset, but this is just a cheap fashion corset. It's just to give some shaping. It's not like actually reducing my waist. I think that it's starting to look pretty nice. I might need a layer of something to go underneath just to kind of, you can see these, like this corset has this like the busk, so that's kind of peeking through. So I might need to wear a slip or something underneath, but we'll see what I have. The arms feel a little bit big, but I do still need to sew in the sleeves, so I'm going to lose a little bit of that to the seam allowance, so I don't want to do anything drastic just yet. I wish that I had just done the bodice and then the lining to the bodice. I feel like it looks bubbly, but it might iron out a little bit, but I don't think it will completely. And here is an update of what everything's looking like all together. I do think maybe it could stand to be taken in a little bit down here underneath the bust. But I want to get the sleeves in and figure out the bodice back, and then we'll look into that, I think. I've lost a thread. What thread did I lose? Alright, now I gotta rethread this. Yes. I really love what the overlocker does, but I don't really love the pain I have to go through to get it to work. Also, look at all this dust that I get. Will it show up on camera? Yeah, look at all that. See all that flanking? Like, I've done one seam of a bodice. This is gonna be a freaking train wreck when I get to the actual skirt. Oh Lord. It seems that I've lost this thread. It's no longer threaded. So now I have to rethread this whole thing. Look at this. Look how nasty this gets in here. So quickly. Oh Lord. Highly recommend a nice fluffy brush if you get one of these. This is like a paintbrush, but I don't use it for painting. I just use it for cleaning this. Okay, so I was serging along this like facing thing, whatever it's called, and my serger ripped this fabric. It just totally skipped serging it. And just ripped it. And of course this is the exact front point of the bodice, so that's cool. I'm so mad. So anyways, I guess I'm just going to hand stitch and kind of try to mend this fabric back together as low key as I can, and then I'm going to top stitch this down. I don't think it'll just stay there on its own even if I iron it. That's what we're gonna do. I'm so mad that it ripped. I didn't even hear it. It just did its own thing, I guess, so. Okay, so I'm sorry I haven't updated you guys in a bit. I ended up doing a Zoom chat with some friends, so I was just sewing while we were all hanging out. I finished most of the construction of the bodice. It's currently just pinned to the back of the dress form. I'm going to put some grommets and a modesty panel in the back, so that'll be that closure. Here is where it had ripped and I kind of sewed it together, so that does not look very cute. I know. With some trim along the top, it can just block it, but I don't know, because like that's where it's supposed to come down. I have some other kind of gold and pearly trim, but it is much more flexible, and I have a ton of it. So it could go like that. And then what else do I have? I have this. That's really pretty. That looks really beautiful, I think. It's a little smaller, but... So basically the full structure of the gown is done. The skirt is completely done. All I have to do is like steam it out. The bodice is basically done. I do still need to add a modesty panel. So I am back here with my top, which is mostly finished. We do still need to put in our modesty panel, but it's a bit too big for me. I tried it on and it's just a touch too large. So I need to take about an inch off of the top and a little bit less off of the bottom. So I put my ruler on here at an angle. You can see there's more up here than there is down here. I'm just going to mark it. This is just a regular pen. You can't use this one of those heat pens or something fancy if you really want, but I find that those don't really work half the time. So after I have marked that, I'm going to just cut it off And then I'm going to use this piece that I cut off as a template for the other side. And that's just going to ensure that I cut off an equal amount on each side. Alright, and now I'm just going to run my serger right along these edges and get that sewn. Hi guys, voiceover Alyssa here. Really quick, since this video is getting quite long, I'm going to go ahead and zoom through this. If you are interested in the details of how I add my grommets and make a modesty panel, go ahead and pop over to my making a Rosetta costume video because I go over it in that video in detail. Boom! We have a finished bodice. The grommets are in. It is laced up. It looks very pretty. Like I said, you can see the busk. That's these like silver bits that close the front of the corset together. And I went and I looked, and apparently every single slip that I own is just a skirt. So I don't know why I have like 6 skirt slips, but there it is. So I don't know if I'll wear probably just like a white tank top or something. Or maybe if I feel crazy, maybe I'll just like make one. I don't know. But I'm really happy. It's really comfortable. I think that it looks really nice. So there is my gold jacket. We obviously have to decorate it and doll it up a bit. But there she is. The only thing I have left is this gold overskirt train thing, which I have serged all of the edges. So it's ready to put the fur on. I just haven't decided how to attach it. I think it kind of needs to attach to the bodice somehow to make sure it doesn't slip down. So I'm thinking maybe if I like put some snaps into it, then maybe I can just snap it onto the dress. I have spent like 30 minutes trying to fuss and figure out how to cover this up with the trims and things that I have. Look at this. You see what this is? This is a vintage dress clip. Boom. All better. I've got these poinsettias to put at her shoulders, I think, instead of the greenery. I also have littler ones that are felt if I feel like the green, or if I feel like the big glam is too much, but I mean, it's Barbie. How can there be too much glam? Okay. I am so happy I have this dress clip. I bought it for Snow White, but Barbie's gonna borrow it. So that goes like that. This will go down like this and into there. And then we have these darling buttons that can just go down from her dress clip. And it might look a little bit funny, but I mean, the red and the red, they match. It matches. I'm just gonna say it's all gonna work because I really want to cover up that rip. Alright guys, now that we have the bodice fully constructed, this is where I'm going to leave you for part 3. Be sure to come back in the new year for part 4, where we will decorate this bodice, add the fur, do up the jewelry and the finishing touches, and see our final 1994 holiday Barbie look. Thanks for hanging out with me guys. Bye!